Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to the Friday, October 10th meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Newcastle. This is our second budget work session. The first one was on Wednesday and we're continuing today with our budget discussions. So I will let both Rob and Carl take over.
Good morning. Today we're going to start with the Department of Public Works. We have Commissioner Bart Carey, Deputy. The title's wrong. Tom Costello, Foreman Michael Cicali, and Assistant to the Commissioner Julia Gordon with us this morning.
Okay, welcome.
All right, good morning. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to review the budgets that are within the Department of Public Works. These budgets consist of the Highway Fund, the Water Fund, the Refuse Fund, several sewer districts, and a few small water districts. Together, they account for close to $22 million of the town budget. I would like to acknowledge the hard work done by the 35 employees of the Department of Public Works and mention that this past year we paved just under 8 miles of road, inspected all catch basins within the town, we swept all roads and parking lots, we fixed at least a dozen water main breaks, serviced all fleet vehicles and equipment at least once, produced mulch and compost using our horizontal grinder, and completed upstairs bathroom renovations here at Town Hall. This morning we'd like to start by reviewing the refuse budget, and just like the Foreman Michael Cicali is here to walk us through the refuse budget. Thanks, Brian.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Art's Ed, Recycling Foreman, and I'm going to go through the refuse budget. I'm starting on page 95, the revenue section.
So Mike, we're going by the pages in the bottom. See,
You're right,
it's
yeah.
numbered on the bottom.
187.
Yeah,
Oh,
187.
187, okay, I'm sorry, 187.
That's
I was wondering where you guys getting the number.
Yeah, because we cannot, we've tried, we cannot remove, that's the report that comes out of our accounting system. We can't take the numbering off it. It numbers it a different way than we have the budget set up because we have charts and graphs and we put headings in each of the sections, and so I number it on the bottom of the PDF and it corresponds, if you're following along with the PDF, it corresponds with the number of that. That's all.
So I'm starting on page 187. We had a good year this year with the yard waste program. As you can see, yard waste, we are just about to reach our current projection. We'll probably go over that, being that the yard waste season just kind of getting underway with the leaves, so that we'll probably push through that number. It's a very unpredictable number, so we left that number the same for next year, just because it's hit or miss. A lot of the contractors complain they're very slow, so things have slowed down, but we are on target to have pretty much the same year we had last year, 2025, so it's pretty close to 27.
When we have limitations with the compost and yard waste, there's only so much we can store on site,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, for the DC, we're only allowed so much, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So we're limited to just Newcastle merchants, contractors.
Yeah.
That's what we take. The next big item is the last one, which is compost and mulch sales. Again, we had a good year. Since COVID, it seems like the program seems to be really public, and a lot of residents are taking advantage of it, which is good. They're taking advantage of it, and it's been helping our mulch sales. We've been kind of being conservative the last couple of years, but this year we jumped the number up to 60,000 for next year, and I think that's going to be attainable basically based on the last couple of years. It seems to be a pretty popular program.
And we have a brand new horizontal grinder, which over the last few years we were kind of nursing it along as we had about 30,000 or so in maintenance and repair, and we used most of that every year to repair the machine. So
it's been more reliable. It's making better mulch, but for me, most importantly, the stress of it was we make our mulch and we make our mulch in March, and if the machine breaks down the mulch in March, and we're down for a month and a half, which can happen. We are now into May, and now mulch season is behind us, and we have all this product that we have just sitting there. So every year, it was with that machine, it was very stressful. So, is it going to make it through the whole process of usually the parts as an old machine was 20 years old, it's hard to get the parts, so it's
So with the new machine, with the new machine, can you make more? And therefore, would you sell more? Is there more demand than there is supply?
Well, we only grind what we get. And as we said, we restricted between DEC, how much we're allowed to have back there, as well as we only taking what the town will get from the residents. So it's more that what comes in is what goes out. So could we process more? Yes, we have to open up to other towns and to the public.
Okay, but you've always done the maximum of what you have.
We've always completed what we get in, yes. And we usually, it works out pretty well that we generally sell, what comes in goes out, and it's pretty much an even spot every year. We generally run out of mulch, in late September, we tried that a couple weeks ago. So it's kind of the idea of it, you don't wanna have it laying around, it's a waste that turns to rot and also becomes a fire hazard. So we try to manage it so we run out every year by this time, because the supply, the demand is over in October, so we're putting mulch down anywhere in October.
The new grinder is more efficient than the old grinder.
Yes.
Has a better rate of production, I think it's easier to
Yes.
use. So we do have space limitations.
It's been it's a great machine, so thank you. It's made my job a lot easier.
Good.
And that's it for revenue. On the expense page, 180, I'm assuming it's 189. Yes.
Yeah.
On 189, it's all small items, department supplies, nothing major there, nothing exciting to talk about. Leaf bags, the second to last item you'll see, we have 0, we just got a whole shipment of bags. Generally, I buy them for about 2 years, it's just cheaper to buy them in bulk as opposed to, once a year, generally buy them for 2 years. So for 2026, we don't want to buy bags, definitely need them for 2027. Sales will be going, flip to page 190, scooping down the page. First large item is maintenance and repair. That's pretty much to work out of machinery, and if you could look back to like 2024, you see a lot larger number when we had the old machine, because it was down when it was up. So it's been, it's nice to have a machine that operates properly and doesn't work out as much, so it's saving town money, so that's positive. Contractual services, that is the line item to paying Santa Barbara for collection. Generally what we do with that number is it's CPI for the contract. So we basically go off of October CPI, which will come out shortly. I use the number, I use 4%, just because CPI this year has been anywhere from 2.7 to 3.9. So I use 4 just to be conservative, because it's kind of generally what I've done in the past, and it's generally worked out.
So Mike, are we in the last year of our contract now?
December 31st,
26.
26, yes,
Yeah.
we just extended our contract to last, so yes, in the spring, we're gonna have to go out and back up the bid for a new contract.
So do we have any indications, just to backtrack just a little bit, we're in the 5th year of the contract.
Yes.
And that's where we saw a significant spike in costs. I think that went up about $1 million, give or take. I don't know if that included the tipping fees, but and that was difficult to absorb in the budget for a single year. So over the last 5 years, we've kind of had a slow drawdown of fund balance and combined that with an increase in taxes, because with the tax cap, we couldn't put it all in a single year. So year 5 is really the end of that kind of scheduled drawdown of fund balance and increase in taxes. I think it will probably be a slight increase each year. Hopefully, we get reasonable rates. Do we have any indication where the market is these days?
I think things leveled out. I think what threw us for a curve was the fact that we had a very good 7-year contract for this.
Yep.
And we were locked into that, and things have gone up so dramatically. And COVID, the price of trucks, everything went up. So I think that was what we saw, that big bump. Things seem to be leveled out. I would imagine. I mean, we just rebid the commercial contract, and it was right in line with the last one.
What ahead been?
So I'm assuming based on that and prices have kind of leveled out, that I think we're going to be
Reasonable increase.
reasonable. We're going to see. I think we saw a 30% increase, 35% increase on that last.
It was major in the last
It was more than
contract.
that,
Yeah. And things gone up, and I think it was a combination of both the fact that, like I said, we had a great contract, we had a really good contract the 7 years before, and also the price increases, COVID really kind of what we saw.
And the market changed though, right? I mean, you had the market changing with recyclable materials, you had, I think China stopped taking
Yes, yes.
a lot of the material that they were taking, which made the cost of disposal more expensive.
The last 7-8 years, we've gone from getting money back for bottles and cans to it being free to
Right.
us
To pay for it.
paying more than we're paying for
Yeah.
for refuse.
Yeah.
So that's that's a big swing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there.
Thanks.
But those struggles in the recycling markets are gonna continue.
Yes.
But I would anticipate hopefully just like a regular CPI increase, but we'll start the bidding process in the spring early so that we have all of our numbers back before we make the budget process. We know where we stand next summer, at the beginning of the budget process.
And we've been happy with Santa Pro, right?
They're
We would imagine they would bid again, and we would like them to bid
Yes,
again.
yes. They've been a great partner. They work very well with us. Their situations, they're right on it. Their staff, any residents, they pick up, probably 800-900 stops a day. And there's minimum complaints, and when there are, they're right on it. It's a really good job of taking care of things. Been very happy with them.
Are there actually a lot of options?
No.
Oh. Then that's good. That we like that.
I mean, we hope to have some competition so that the prices
Yeah.
stay.
I think last time we went out to bid and they were the only bidders, and then we rebid, we rejected it and we rebid, and they were still the only bidder.
We had, after some conversations with them, we changed the insurance requirements a little bit. And we saw a little bit of savings, but only basically what we knew they would save on the insurance.
We've done a couple lines, the transfer site charges, is the charges we pay through, for tipping our refuse and recycling. That's a pass through, in the last couple of years, we've seen 5-6% increases, so that's pretty much what I built into the budget, just to be conservative based on last year, so.
The contractual service is just the cost to collect the material, and the transfer site charges is the charge to dispose of it.
Exactly. Next line item is the senior. That is basically special services. That's the charge that our senior residents and our disabled, our handicapped residents, basically get a discount for their collection, and the town picks up that price, half that price up, 75%. Yes, it is. And so that's what that cost is. And again, that's generally that's raised by CPI, so I increased it 4% based on this year. After that is basically, maintenance.
Sorry, which line was that?
That is senior citizen ed services charge.
So you said you increased it, but I don't see
For- Yes, it was 50, and I raised it to 55 last year.
that. Oh, okay, sorry, I missed the 0.
Hang on, it looks like it was 55
Yeah,
last year.
It was, we had budgeted 55, it looks like we're projecting it to come in at 50
yes,
this
That's
year.
a projection, right?
But the budget itself stays the same,
Yes.
because it looks like in 25 we'll be a little bit under budget,
Yes.
is what the
Okay,
projection is.
okay.
But we're going up from the adjusted,
Yes.
that's what, I mean, the,
Thank you, Ron. Sorry, yeah, that's right, that's sort of the confusion. Another big item for us is two lines down is the vehicle maintenance. We have a lot of machinery, a lot of things unfortunately go wrong. Most of our equipment is relatively new, but we do have smaller pieces of equipment that every once in a while like gives us a hard time.
What's the condition of the roll-off, is that alright?
It's a 2014, so it's 11 years. It's in good shape, but 11-year-old trucks, they're not.
sorry, the what?
Roll-off truck?
Yes, yeah. We have it's a truck that basically those large containers, 30-yard containers, you see it, basically pulls it up. We have 3 or 4 of them at the recycling center, so it's used to empty harvest, to empty the recycling at the recycling center, as well as we have snow events or large trees down, we use that truck. So we have one of them, to 2014, so it's 11 years old. We maintain it very well. The maintenance guys do a great job of it, but it's getting up there in years.
We do have a request in the capital budget to consider buying an additional, because that is an expensive,
Yes.
in excess of 20,000.
Yes. It's a big item. That part's only one of them, we use it, not every day, every other day, so it's something we use on a regular basis, so.
And is that
Something at some
one,
point,
does that run on diesel?
yes. That's about Questions?
Very straightforward, thank you.
No problem.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank
everyone, have a nice day, during the meeting.
Thanks for the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, what's next?
Where are we going?
Start with the Public Works Administration.
What's the page?
106.
107.
107, no.
So this covers the administration staff and some office equipment that we have at DPW. There's an increase in the salaries, and that's because that was a position that used to be charged more to the water fund, is being charged to the DPW admin line. There's several salaries within Public Works Administration that are broken up between this line and then also water and refuse.
Yeah, so what the increase represents there is water billing had always been done in the controller's office. When my longtime staff member in the controller's office retired at the middle of 24, we moved the water billing down to Public Works. Mark down at Public Works was gonna give it a shot, and unfortunately the workload down there was way too much for him to absorb the water billing, which is a really big job, in addition to his other duties. So we ended up hiring another full-time position this year in 2025 to take on the water billing. So that's what that increase represents for next year. It was not budgeted in the 25 budget, and we had to, it was an additional position. So position exists now, but we have to account for it in the 26 budget.
And at the bottom of the page is a line for GIS maintenance, and we use that for a program that we have called iWork, and that is how we track all of our work requests that come in. We also use that program to do catch basin inspections and to keep track of annual inspections for backflow devices on water service lines. So you'll see GIS maintenance in the highway and the water funds as well. We break up the cost of that, so those three areas.
And that's a part of the MS4 compliance, the catch basin inspection. Is something that you assist, you work with the engineering department, or do you do that sort of?
Yeah, as part of the stormwater team, we meet with Sabrina Development Engineering Department, review what we've accomplished, what our goals are. And this year, we did inspect all the catch basins, the whole town this year. Yeah.
Wow, you were able to get that done?
Yeah, the requirement is to do them twice a year, a majority of them, the ones that are within the watershed, which is about 75% of all basins. We thought it was a good start to just get them all done once.
In the past, we had typically done about a third each year, is that correct?
Yeah.
So
Good.
we've increased that a lot, and
Yes.
you know, we talked the other night with Sabrina about the MS4 and the compliance, that we've made a really good start on it. And we're not there, but we're also not at the end of the permit. We're, I think Sabrina mentioned 2026 is year 3 of the 5-year step up of requirements, so.
I didn't understand that.
Nobody else does either.
So that's what the new back truck will help
Yes,
to do as well, so maybe with the new back truck, we'll be able to
Yeah, so
achieve it.
through the inspection process, we've identified the basins that we need to clean out, and the new back truck will really help us increase the number of basins that we're able to clean. So
and
we're
there,
excited to have.
Have you noticed areas that are worse than others?
There are some, and it depends, on the road and topography and the land. some are lower areas where sediment leaves will accumulate more than other areas.
Yeah, that makes sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it? And the most traveled areas, I suppose, like the major roadways.
Not
Is that-
necessarily, yeah, it's a lot of it is more to do with just the topography and with the surrounding
Okay.
area.
Can you just mention, it may or may not be applicable to this exact department, but what we have to do with the sediment that we pull out of the basins now as opposed to what we did with it in the past?
Yeah, so I mean, with the street sweeping this year, we put all of the material that we collected into the roll-off container. That was another use for the roll-off truck, and brought it to a transfer station where it was taken to a landfill. And the material that we collect from the catch basin clean, we're exploring options. But in the past, it was kind of, we tried to use it as fill on projects where we could, but we accumulated a large amount of it because we don't have enough projects to use it and get rid of it.
So all of these towns in this area are going to face the same problem. We're going to have loads of this type of material. Is it worth going through the consortium to figure that out and maybe having economies of scale about what to do with that material? This is really
Talking about
tremendous.
east of Hudson,
Yes.
maybe, that may be something.
Yeah, we can't be the only ones facing
If we
that, what to
contract it
do.
together to get a higher volume, to get a better rate on a higher volume of material.
Right, so maybe that's something to be brought up with that consortium.
It could definitely be looked into as far as economies of scales. The trucking is the very expensive portion of this whole thing. Each truck has its capacity. They have the fixed costs in place to run those trucks, so there would be a tremendous savings. But it's something to
Right,
look
all
into.
these municipalities will be dealing with this on their own, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
So that kind of completes the DPW administration portion, and then if you continue down on page 109, we get into the building maintenance department. The 1620 lines, which are for town hall.
Is that top one, the departmental equipment, is that moved somewhere else? We're not using it anymore?
So that was used to install a new fire alarm system, and that work is complete. So that's why there's a 0 on that line now. The fire alarm system was original to the building. Did a majority of that work with our in-house electrician, saved a substantial amount of money with all the wiring, and then the company came in and all of the devices and installed the program.
And it works really well.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we found out a few times with some toaster ovens and works really well.
Cheesy peanut or two. So within the town hall line, you see there's office supplies, departmental supplies, maintenance and repair, maintenance of grounds. That's increased $1,000 over what it was previously, and that's just to increase costs of materials. The HVAC maintenance, we've kept that flat at $25,000. Thankfully, things have gone pretty well this year. You'll see, looking through the history on that, it's been up and down, and that's because of the rooftop units here. I think there's 7 of them. Once in a while, a repair comes up, and it's usually a major repair. So thankfully, we're having too many of those. They're reaching the end of their lifespan, and anytime repair comes up, oftentimes it is major. The office cleaning is the same at $48,000. Was a slight increase in the contract, but we have enough built in there to absorb that. special projects line, that's what we've been using to do the improvements within town hall, the bathrooms, the wallpaper, and painting. There are some additional bathrooms in the building that we'd like to renovate next year. And then on the next page is the 1621 lines, and that's other town buildings, and this is where the salaries for the building maintenance department are paid out of. Throughout all of the departments, there's an increase in the salary line for contractual obligations, CSEA, they get a 2.5% increase next year. The cleaning number here has been increased a little bit, and that's just due to some extra cleanings that were done after events throughout some of the buildings. You also see lines in here for maintenance at the train station, and that covers some exterior maintenance that we continue to do even though the inside of the building is rented out. Several years back, all of the wood was replaced, and some of that is beginning to rot. So there will be some work that needs to be done outside of the train station next year. Going down a little more.
You know, Martin, I'm sorry, I missed what you said. This is the roof to what exactly at the train station?
For exterior maintenance, we had replaced all of the woodwork outside of the train station many years ago, and some of that is beginning to show signs.
Okay, now what woodwork is that exactly?
So it's all of the dark brown painted wood that's on the outside of the building.
Okay, so this is the station house,
Yes.
the main station house.
Yes.
Bobo's, yeah.
Okay. So the actual, mechanics of the station, we're not responsible for, right?
Correct. We own the
That's
building and
right.
the parking
Because
area,
there've
but
been
as
a lot of
far as
complaints this year.
yeah, so the elevator, the stairs, the platforms, all of that is
Is-
Metro North.
Right, so just the exterior of Bobo's is ours.
Correct. Yes.
And what about the little house, the taxi?
That is the town's also.
Okay. Good to know.
And so the taxi service rents it from the
So actually,
house.
right now, the taxi service hasn't used that for years. It was an addendum to Bobo's lease. I think they're using that building for storage, so they pay an additional $500 a month to use that building for storage.
Okay, I had seen cars on and off. I don't
Yeah, there
use
may
that
be,
very much, so I haven't.
there may be vehicles for hire that park there, but the taxi stand is not manned anymore
Oh,
like it
okay.
used to be.
Yeah, with the advent of Uber and Lyft and stuff, that,
Yeah.
dedicated taxi services.
So we're letting, so we're letting Bobo's keep using that, are they paying
They
us
pay
more?
$500 a month in addition to
Okay,
the rent for the train station.
There was
Okay.
conversation at some point of turning it to like a locker
Yep.
service, and then maybe like refrigeration service, you can pick up food later in the day.
They've had a half
That makes
dozen
sense.
ideas, but they've
Yeah.
never,
considering that everything is closed and people come home from work on the train and everything is shut down, I mean,
Yeah.
it would be great to have something
That's been discussed many
available
times.
coming out of the train, if that makes sense.
So you're saying that Bobo's had discussed
Well,
doing that,
we
or?
discussed making that a reality, but it just never came to fruition. I don't think they wanted to do it.
they don't wanna operate past 5 o'clock. They say it's not, it doesn't make financial sense. We've had this discussion / argument with them. If the lease requires them to stay open till 9 to maintain their bathrooms, they
Right.
don't. They've said they won't.
That's still an issue?
I thought we had resolved that. So they're closing at 5 and the bathrooms are closed at 5. Wow, okay.
So we are looking at the lease at the moment. They have requested to do some interior renovations that I don't believe are permitted within the lease. We're working with Reno and Mike Starvaggi, so we may revisit their lease.
Also, the building is landlocked.
Yeah.
right? The interior,
They
the
would have to,
exterior.
so they
It's a
did,
beautiful building, we can't have that.
correct, they would need approval from SHPO to do anything inside the building. They
Well, from
say,
us too, I
yes,
imagine.
of course, yeah, but beyond us, they need
Yeah.
additional approvals. So, we're working on that right now.
Okay,
That's interesting, maybe the idea of a pop-up somewhere
Maybe-
at that stand, like a vendor that would just
Yeah,
pop
there
up.
there are other options, maybe we can talk about it offline. Okay.
So further down the page is, there's a line item for uniforms and boots, and that's a decrease this year. It's because the uniforms for all DPW employees are purchased every other year, and they were purchased this year, so next year it's more boots only, not complete uniforms. Jumping down,
Actually, I have a quick question.
Sure.
The train station utilities,
yes.
do we get money from the tenant for utilities, or we just?
Not specifically, I mean, presumably it would have been baked into the lease, but
Okay,
So and so for electric, there's 2 meters within the building, so Bolos pays for, the portion
okay,
that they use for electricity, but also, the town gives up for general electric, like for exterior lighting.
okay,
And we pay the water bill because the public works.
okay, thank you.
But they do have an electric, meter for their kitchen and other activities they have inside.
Good.
Jumping down to page 112, starts the A 5132 lines. This is for building maintenance at the and for building maintenance, there's an increase there just because we're seeing repairs that need to be done due to the age of the building. We've also allocated to buy a new pressure washer for our wash bay at the facility. The current one is it's about 10 years old. We've seen a lot of increased downtime due to equipment failure. Repairs have not been too much dollar wise, but to go with budget to replace that just due to the age and we're seeing increased failures with it. There's no questions on that. We could jump down to the highway fund.
Where is that?
152, highway financial start.
On this first page, towards the bottom, there's administration fees for road opening permits. That's staying flat at $12,000. Those are fees that we collect, a $300 fee each time we issue a road opening permit. In 2024, there was a lot more money allocated for that because Con Edison had come through and they did a significant number of pole replacements. We've been at more of a stable level of permits that we're issuing. So that's staying flat. On the next page, you'll see it's the interfund revenue. Those are transfers between the departments or sources of revenue for the highway funds. Further down the page, you'll see state aid chips. And that I have increased this year to $450,000 from $425,000, and that's because we have been receiving more money from the state. They had added another program, POP, pave our potholes. We also have Pave New York, EWR, which is extreme weather recovery, and then the CHIPS. So this year with all of those programs, we are seeing $554,000 from the state. So we always budget conservatively, so we're staying under that number, but we have ticked that up slightly.
Yeah, they usually announce that in the late spring, what those monies are.
Yeah, after the state budget's approved, so then we get.
Yeah, so we budget conservatively, and if we're aware that we're going to receive more money than we budgeted, we pave more roads.
I like the person in charge of these names. Chips and pops.
They love acronyms.
Who works for the state in that department?
The state loves acronyms.
I wanna call them. Okay, well, is it increasing everywhere, for everyone?
I would think so, right?
Yes,
Just curious, okay.
and then at the bottom of that page is state and county roads, snow removal, and that's revenue we receive from New York State DOT and from Westchester County for snow and ice agreements that we have with them to remove snow and ice on some of their roads within Newcastle. For the county, we do all of their roads within the town. For the state, we do Route 120, Route 17, and Route 128. State DOT forces take care of Route 100, Route 134, Route 130.
Just a question, Rob, with New York State taking such a hit from federal money, does it play out at all in any of the money that we get from the state?
Not that I've seen, I mean, I guess probably the biggest chance will be in the funding for the roads, but the other monies that we get, mortgage tax is a formula based on what's collected here. You get county sales tax, so that doesn't come from the state. There aren't a lot of sources really from the state. Can you think of any?
The only other ones I would think of would be discretionary funds from agencies like grants.
Yeah.
That may, they wouldn't be clawed back necessarily, but they would, there'd be less of them going forward. So.
But we this last year or so, we've got a lot of money from NYSERDA for the back truck was part of it, for the EV stations, we bought another electric vehicle, we
All the
bought
equipment.
the lawn equipment and
Heat pumps.
heat pumps,
Yes.
yeah.
We've got a considerable amount from NYSERDA for, green upgrades to various equipment, so
So we expecting that to,
that should
I
continue
would
to go
think so,
through.
and a lot of that NYSERDA was probably from that bond or that bond that the state issued several years ago.
Yeah.
The environmental
They've
bond.
been fully appropriated, and in many of these, in some of the bigger cases, we've already received the funds from NYSERDA.
Yep.
And it's just sitting in a deferred revenue line at this point, waiting for us to actually make the claim. And they'll claw back whatever is spent, much like they did with the ARPA funds.
That might affect bigger cities, but I think smaller towns, it's just.
It shouldn't
doesn't
affect our
trickle
aim.
down
so
to
we
us.
shouldn't get too nervous.
No,
No.
not for
Yeah.
that reason.
Now, and again, any of the agencies, I just saw guidance yesterday from the budget division telling agencies to kind of hold steady. So it doesn't look like we're looking at major cuts, but rather things would remain consistent at where they are right now.
That completes the revenue portion of the highway fund. Page 155, the expenses begin. Requesting an increase in the overtime line for the highway department. That's because it hasn't been increased in a couple of years and the salaries have gone up. This line is dependent on weather and storms. The overtime out of this line is used for if staff are called in, if trees are down, if they have to stay late because of a storm. It's also used for overtime during paving season. further down, the snow removal is a separate overtime portion.
Can I ask why the salaries have gone up 6.8 beyond the
Sure, so we have a lot of new employees in the highway department, in addition to the 2.5%, they're still working through their steps. So there's 5 steps.
I see, so it's new employees plus,
Plus
not
the
new,
cost of
not new hires, but it's the steps.
Right, so there are 5 steps in the union contract, so if you're within your first 5 years of hire, you're going to receive a higher than cost of living increase each year.
Right.
And from step 1 to step 2 is a really big jump. It was not a contract I negotiated, but back then they froze step 1, which creates a big gap from 1 to 2. So you kind of get a break the first year that you hire somebody, and then the next year you're taking a bigger hit than you would between the other steps.
Okay.
And in the departmental equipment line, we have $40,000 request, and we're planning to buy a camera that we can put inside of catch basins to help with our inspection program. And it has a light on it, so it shines into the pipe that's connected to the catch basin. That'll help us to see down the pipes.
That's very interesting, so are the MS4 requirements at all flexible? So if you can show that the catch basin is clean at a certain level, then you can forego that, that
Less
cleaning.
manpower.
Right,
Do
if
they
it's,
accept that?
isn't there a certain level, then you have to re-inspect it sooner?
Yeah, so they're not really flexible, so they are pretty much, they're set. So I mean, if we inspect the catch basin and it's more than 50% full, we're supposed to clean it out within 6 months. That's, best practice. But depending on the basin where it is, even though it's at 50%, it may take another year or 2 to get to 75%. So there isn't really, unfortunately, flexibility with that. Not only that, there's if it's less than 50%, I think you're still required to clean it out or inspect it within a relatively short period of time. Whereas, some basins may take several years to fill up, some definitely fill quicker. So it would be nice if there was a little bit more flexibility built into the regulation, the permit.
I mean, are there any cases where you would not have to do it? Let's say the cameras show that they're 30% full or 20% full.
Right, yeah.
Does it account for anything like that?
No, we track that.
You still have to inspect it, but you don't have to clean it up.
Right.
Oh, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, the inspection, yes, I'm just seeing where this can save labor.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
It's also helping us to explore the pipes and get a better visual on them. Throughout the town in the drainage system over the years, there's been different materials used in the pipes. Some of the earlier roads a long time ago used concrete pipes, which were the best pipes, and the majority of those are still in good condition. There's a lot of developments that have corrugated metal pipes. Some of these neighborhoods that are only 30 or 40 years old, 50 years old, and a lot of these pipes are completely rusting out. So we need to replace all of these pipes, especially before we pave roads, because we don't want to have to dig them up. I think it's also listed in the capital projects, a drainage project on Newstat Road that's forthcoming. The engineering department is hiring a surveyor to do survey work out there. That's a very large corrugated metal pipe. It's about 4 or 5 feet in diameter, and it's completely rusted out. And that is only I think 40 years old. That is like from the early 80s or something. That neighborhood. Yeah. Right. So we're trying to get a better visual on the pipes that are connected to these basins. Be proactive in replacing these
That
pipes.
makes sense. That's
Right.
What material is being used now? something that you said it
A lot of the new pipes are plastic, as long as there's enough cover, they need to be buried to at least a certain depth for those pipes to work. And one of the things we've started doing, and you'll see a request at your next meeting, is to approve relining a pipe. We started doing that last year, because some of these pipes just, they're very deep, very difficult to replace. And there's companies out there that come and employ a liner and cure it in place, and it's like putting a new pipe inside of the pipe. But in some of these cases, the host pipe or the pipe they're lining is too bad a condition to be relined.
This is all stormwater going into the reservoirs.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
yeah.
Is there anything other than plastic to be used these days?
There are, yeah, I mean, there's still corrugated metal pipes, those are still used, there's different types. We've used aluminum, and there's different coatings on them, there's still concrete is always an option, it's the most expensive option. Yeah, there are other materials still to be used.
Is the concrete more labor? I imagine it would be more labor intensive.
Yes.
You have to lay down that concrete and with the
Yeah.
proper molds, et cetera.
Right, and they're shorter sections, so there's more sections to be
Right,
joined.
Yeah, these plastics are a problem. Maybe that's a question for the state to address, people are talking about plastics.
I think that
Water.
the plastics that are ending up in the water is more from other stuff, environmental stuff,
Right,
than
right.
from the draining rooms.
Okay. It's such a monumental problem.
Yes,
Okay, well, we do the best we can.
that's right. So, going down road paving, requested $1 million again. That, along with the money that we've received from the state, has provided us the ability to try to catch up on our road paving. That number's been increased substantially throughout the years. That's a good level that we're at, paving almost 8 miles of road a year. It's a lot of work for the contractor and for us to prepare the roads to get ready.
This is one of the most important things for our residents,
Yes,
road paving, yeah.
safety and quality of life.
Yeah,
throughout the years, we've seen the number of complaints, I would say, have dropped substantially. There's still roads that, are in need of paving around the town, trying to get everything clean. But
Yeah.
overall, I think we're doing a much better job.
We have about 105 miles of roadway, town roadway that have to be done. Bart does that evaluation, Bart, Tom, and his staff do the evaluation each year of the roads that we need to pave. And we'll go back maybe 10 or 12 years ago, there wasn't a consistent policy for road paving in the town. If you look at the budget and you look at the actuals going back to maybe 2010 through 2014, 15, right, Jeremy? There were years that we didn't pave, there were years that we paved $100,000, and it took many years of catching up to get to a point where we finally feel like we're, at least treading water, maintaining the right pace. If we're able to pave 7 or 8 miles of road, most of the roadways are good for, between 15 and 30 years.
Yes, yeah. Between 15 and 25, and
25.
that was a problem, I mean, back.
I think that's sometimes very generous, frankly.
It can be, yeah, it's
There are some that are
highly-
Not a statement against anyone here.
It's highly variable, yes. Depending on how the road was built, the topography, the terrain, tree cover, there's so many factors. Even when the work was done,
oh yes,
yeah, cause I'm sure
It's not just paving the road, it's
we always wanted the chip in what's it called? So that people would
Oil and
embrace
chip.
oil and chip.
But if, do you remember what year your road was paved, Jeremy? It was
I think my road failed because the contractor
Right,
didn't do
yeah,
the depth.
yeah, so
it
that's-
failed out
that's-
of the gate,
an example of a road that's not
Yeah.
holding up to what we.
and it can't be more than 10 years.
I would say about 10.
Did we do full depth there or what?
There was full
Is that old line?
reclamation done there.
No, off of Baldwin and
Correct. Yeah.
What does
Oh, that's
failing
what you
mean?
it's
It
just
all
crack,
cracks.
Starts to crack.
So when you see like the seal, I better I can like the seal, black tar seal, the cracks, cutouts,
Yeah,
I've seen that.
sides caving down.
yeah.
So I mean,
Do we
if,
have any recourse? Against a,
I think you do within roughly, they hold.
we
like a
hold
year.
5%
Yeah.
retainage for 1 year, and that's for
Year.
defects.
and they have inspection. Okay.
But at 8 miles a year, you know, we're able to get to
We're
all the
closer to a
roads,
15-year
15-year
average.
cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some maybe less and some
Right.
maybe.
And to be clear, that wasn't their work, that was a contractor.
Yeah, I
Right.
get it, yes, yes.
But you have some of the lesser traveled roads, cul-de-sacs, et cetera, that go at the longer.
Some go- have gone more.
So you're saying we're almost caught up from the years of very low paving volume?
We've made significant headway. I think we're on pace now to have a much more a better maintenance program to maintain the roads at a better, higher level than they had been, for sure.
Okay, that's great.
And we've been able to do that. That was, again, a stepped approach going back from maybe 2014 and 15 to keep adding, you know, for a series of years, 100,000 here, 150,000 there, to get to this point now. And, you know, we've been able to stay under the tax cap. We've accommodated all of that within the operating budget, and, you know, we're on track to, you know, keep things, on schedule.
Yeah, that was really good planning.
And we've also, there are some approaches that we tried and didn't work, and that we found, you know, we're in a.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some micro surfacing on roads, and we did a little bit of oil and chip on some roads. But one of the things we've stopped doing, that used to be done for, I started in this position, was reclamation, and that was when the road was ground up and pulverized, and then a new road put over the top of that. Because we found that really was affecting the longevity of the roads, and
Okay. What is this drainage number?
So that's for purchasing materials for new pipe when we have to replace the rusted corrugated metal pipes, and also for precast catch basins, precast concrete catch basins that we use. That's mostly what that's for. On the next page, you'll see the GIS maintenance again, that's where the I work over.
What rate do we pay for gasoline, just curious, we must get a discount, do we not?
So it's based on the New York State OGS contract, and that fluctuates. It's tied to an index.
We don't pay taxes on it, which is the,
Gotcha.
we do get a discount, sure, through the contract, but we don't pay taxes, so. It's typically $1 more or less than what you see at the pumps.
About
The increase in gasoline is,
yeah, so that was that should have been $30,000 last year.
Yeah, cause it came in at that.
Correct.
it's more a
I think
correction
at
to
the
the
time
line with what we've historically
Right.
used.
Yeah, I think at the time the budget was done last year, the numbers were only in for the first quarter of the year.
And the way that's done is it's done through an allocation, like we pay the bill and then later on, our office
Right.
will do an allocation of that bill to the various funds
Okay,
as required, so
It
it's
takes a while.
possible that
Yeah,
allocation was just
there's a
not done
lag
right.
before
Yeah.
we do,
right,
so
well, we would have had to fix it at some point.
that number right now probably represents 1 or possibly 2 quarters. but
That's
that
2
was-
quarters in at this point, one of the programs that we've used, Gas Buddy, we've had an issue.
Yes, boy.
We've had an issue getting some of the data out of there, so I think we've got it all fixed now. I know we've got at least 2 quarters in there, because I know we did the second journal, but you know, there can be a lag because of the difficulty getting information out of there.
Gas buddy.
Gas boy.
Gas Boy, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fuel master now.
Yeah.
That's what it
That's-
is.
Used to be.
Gospel pumps.
Yeah.
Love it.
We got all sorts of
Makes it
fun
sound
names.
fun.
Fuel Master sounds like an upgrade.
Yeah. That
Sounds
was
a bit
the
scarier.
And on page 157, you see that's the permanent improvements line, and that's a $450,000 expense, and that goes hand in hand with the revenue that we receive from the state programs, so.
And we combine that line with road paving, it's because of how we charge it, depending on what exactly we're doing to the road, some of the expense falls under permanent improvements, some under road paving if we're doing some, I don't know, foundation work or something to the road.
Yeah, we've
But
also
this is
used,
all road work.
Yeah.
Because it's a big number.
Yeah,
so I
they're
don't know what it is.
interchangeable,
Okay.
we, when we quote the amount that we're paving for road work, we combine the permanent improvements line and the road paving line.
and the majority of it goes to actual paving, and sometimes we use a portion of it for guide rail replacement or for relines to these drainage pipes. The next page is the 5130 lines, and that's for the central garage at DPW. They take care of all of the fleet equipment for all the departments under DPW and also all of the police cars.
How's that new property going with the new facility?
We don't have it yet.
Ah, okay.
It's still between the attorneys. We're told we will have possession of it by the end of the year. Heard that before, but fingers crossed, we have different attorneys now, so. we're,
Different attorneys.
Well, from when we started the process, we were with Keenan Dean.
Okay, well, we could get an update at another time. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost ready to go, I think. It's, Lino is working with the seller's attorney. And they have an agreement in place, I think there's some wording that they're going back.
We have that great new back truck, we wanna put
Yeah,
that in
right.
somewhere.
And you will see a request in the capital program for some improvements to that
Yeah.
facility, just to
That's
bring it
gonna
up
be
to
my
Yeah.
next question.
Yeah.
It's within the capital program.
That will take a few months, right? I mean, to do that work, how long will that take?
Yeah,
Couple of years.
Oh,
We
don't
can,
tell
we
me
can
that.
put it to immediate use,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can start using it, but to get the building exactly where we would want it, there's stuff we need to do.
Okay.
So within here, a lot of the money that's used for the shop is for tools to diagnose and do repairs on the new vehicles. We have money in here for scan tools. A lot of the new vehicles have a lot of electronic components. And we've also been purchasing Dodge police cars now, so that's added another kind of layer of scan tool that we need. In the past, we kind of stuck to Ford primarily, but we had difficulties getting those for a number of years, and now we have other vehicle manufacturers, so there's increased funds for equipment to repair those vehicles.
So I understand like a lot of the newer cars have all these sensors and things on them. Do you guys have to deal with any of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That
Yes.
equipment I understand is very expensive,
Yes.
right, to recalibrate them all.
Yes, yeah.
And proprietary for every maker.
So a lot of times after a sensor is replaced, the whole like kind of main computer for the vehicle needs to be reset and have special software enabled to be able to do that. Otherwise you have to go back to the dealer.
So that's kind of embedded in that.
Right, yeah. So we try to do as much of that as we can in-house. There's some money, safety and testing, that's for lift inspections that we do every year for the lifts inside of the shop. See, there's a significant increase for tires. That's just because the cost for tires has been going, which is still doing the same volume as we have in the past. Costs for oil, grease, lubricants, solvents, radio repairs, scooter repairs. Those are all flat from last year. Page 160 is 5140 line, and that's primarily for brush and tree work that we contract out. We have a bid for that that's been renewed this year with Alpine Tree Company, and their rates have been better than the previous contract. There's also funds in here for Duck Pond Dam inspection and the Nickel Dam inspections that are handled by the engineering department. Yeah. And on page 161 is the 5142 lines, and these are for winter operations for snow removal. There's a line here for overtime. We've requested an increase there because labor costs have increased.
You didn't notice I didn't complain about Nickel Dam. Okay, just have to say something.
Was that discussed?
No. Did you say the gift that keeps on?
Yep.
Yep.
That's what it is, for sure.
It's gonna be beautiful. It's done. We'll go hiking. We'll take a tour.
Okay.
Okay.
Our request for funding for salt has stayed flat, even though the salt price has increased. That we purchase off of this state contract, those numbers were just released a couple of weeks ago. We typically don't have those in budget time, but that cost as well, about 4.35%. We try to budget conservatively, and we always try to use the least amount of salt possible to keep the roads safe. Able to stay under that number. We also purchase sand from time to time when we expect an ice storm. And we've been increasing our liquid de-icing program using salt brine that we make to put on the roads in advance of winter storms. And also using liquids with salt during storms to enhance the salt that works to help and keep the roads free from snow. There's an increase in the maintenance and repair line. That's just due to the cost for parts. These repairs are typically all done in-house on the winter equipment. Over the years, we've just seen the cost of parts go up. Used to be able to sometimes get, parts for $100 or $200, but typically now it's $1,000 more when something breaks. The contractual service line in here, that's for a service that we have with Verizon for GPS tracking on DPW vehicles. We started that on all the snowplow vehicles so that we would be able to respond to residents that from time to time tell us we haven't been on the road all day in a storm. So we can pull that out and usually we've been there at least a few times.
Can I ask about the chemicals that we use, salt and de-icing, with just listening to the West End sort of conversations, are there DEC regulations? I'm sure there are, the answer is yes, I'm sure, but how much you can use and what type you can use and all of that? Or you're able to do what is necessary?
There isn't a regulation limiting what we can use. I know this is being looked at much closer now. It has been, throughout the years, but there's concerns are growing because of the level of sodium that's in the reservoirs in the drinking water around here. We've always done what we can to use the least amount of salt possible. The other way to effectively reduce it even more would be literally to tell people to stay home. Would be to reduce our level of service, would be to allow snow on roads. To say, we're only coming through 50% of the time, 100% of what we do. So it's a delicate balance between maintaining safety on the roads and
Protecting
cognizant of what's going on in the environment.
Right, because we're sort of needing to get stricter with residents, but Dennis always tells us, there are no actual physical boundaries, if the town is putting salt down, it doesn't matter, there's still salt, right?
Yes, and then, there's not many alternatives, looking at the liquid options that enhance the salt so we can reduce that, that's kind of what we're focusing on now. But when I started here more than 20 years ago, we used to put a lot of sand down, and that had, its own problems, it completely clogged all the catch basins, phosphorus in the reservoirs.
So it's balancing all the demands,
Yeah.
basically.
We did try to address that in the Indian Brook Overlay District legislation.
Yeah,
But there were no hard and fast rules. Again, it's like you say, it's a balance.
Yeah, and it's usually identified in plans like that as the goal is to use the least amount of ones.
The pre-brining helps with that.
That does, yeah, but we can't do that in every storm, if some of the storms start as rain and then turn to snow, if that's the forecast, then putting a brine down isn't really a
Futile,
viable
'cause it
option.
gets-
Correct.
Is that pre-brining effective because it's just literally less salt, or is it because the brine doesn't run off the way salt does?
It's because it puts that layer of salt on the road to prevent the snow from bonding.
Right, but
And it
does that brine
stays-
salt run off, or it tends to absorb?
Well, it stays on the road, it won't run off until, there's rain involved, but that's another thing that we do try to focus on, is keeping the salt on the road. So when we spread the granular salt, that's a dry material, and if you're not careful and if you don't do it right, you can have a lot of bounce and scatter, and it ends up going to the side of the road. So adding liquids helps to reduce that bounce and scatter and keep it annual training, because a lot of it is how the operator is using the equipment.
And do you mix that? Do you mix the brine yourself, or is it purchased?
We make the brine ourselves at DPW with the rock salt that we
Right.
purchase, so we add water and we have a mixing vat and then put it into
Okay.
storage tanks.
He has a cold drink.
Yeah, we bought that equipment years ago to do that,
Correct.
because we were buying it and it's very
I'd like
heavy
to
to
try that too.
transport.
Exactly, you're paying for transport.
You're one of us.
Okay, very interesting.
Did we get that on video?
I hope so.
Every Halloween.
It's our version of Macbeth.
You're not allowed to say that word. It's bad
What?
to say the N
Yeah.
word.
Is it?
Oh, you know that?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know.
I didn't
Is this
know.
another
Oh, yes.
thespian?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Goodness,
Anyone
why?
near
I
a
didn't
stage
know.
can say
You
that.
just jinxed all of us.
Oh, no, but we're okay.
Don't worry, I
This is
won't
not
be
a
here
theater-
any
This
stage.
is not a theater production, so
Erase
we're,
it from the-
we're exempt. We're exempt, I say. Okay.
You learned something today?
On page 162, there's pavement markings.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay, no, there's a slight increase there, and that's something that we bid out every year. So that's just to reflect the cost of it.
I'm sorry, where are we? I really got.
That was
one-
page 162. Pavement markings, that's so once a year, we restripe all of the double yellow and the white lines that are on town roads. That's what we pay for that service. Kind of wraps up the highway fund unless there's other questions.
You don't have any other.
Water fund is next, and that starts on page 169. Page 170, where the real revenue starts. There's a property tax component to the revenue that hasn't changed forever. And
Well, good. I think-
Well, so what, the water fund is one of the few
Revenue.
funds that we can generate revenue outside of the tax.
I guess good for residents,
So,
but
well,
not for budget.
so because of the tax cap, we have an opportunity to raise revenue by raising the rates for the water as opposed to raising the taxes. So when the costs increase, which they do, and we've got a lot of capital projects in water to fund, that requires more revenue. And under the tax cap, we would have a difficult time raising tax revenue, but we can't raise the rates.
right, and so segueing into that, so the numbers you see here for revenue from water sales are predicated on a request that will be coming to you at the beginning of the year to raise the water rates. We'll be requesting the rates to be raised 9% this year in January. The last rate increase was in 2023, so we're at the end of a 3-year period without a rate increase at all. And during that time, the rate that we've paid to New York City DEP for the raw water has increased about 9%. The costs of chemicals to treat the water have increased substantially as well, and probably the even bigger hit to providing water services, the cost increase for electricity. So we just got our August NYPA bill, and I think for both water treatment, it was $85,000 for August. So that's the highest electric bill per month I've ever seen here.
What was the closest previously, if you recall?
What is that?
70, 75.
So it's significant.
Now granted, we had a very dry month, so it was running full steam the entire time.
Yeah,
Well, that's a catch 20.
It'll be reflected in the
Yes.
revenue,
Dry
but
month
yes.
is good.
But, you know, it's a delicate balance.
And so the rate has gone up. The use always fluctuates, but the rate that we're paying per kilowatt hour is increasing.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes through the general metered sales is for all of the residential, and then there's several other districts that are connected to our system that we supply. North Castle, a small amount, IBM in Yorktown is probably the biggest outside user. And then the town of Mount Pleasant, there's 3 different water districts, Apple Hill, Old Farm, and Mill River. We have a connection with the town of Ossining, but they haven't taken water from us in many years. At the connection with Bedford, they use that only sporadically as an emergency backup, so it's a very low source of revenue. And then the water sales other is what we call our PIP book, and those are accounts that are read monthly. Those are typically larger users that are commercial establishments, and all of the Chapel School buildings. Typical residential meters read quarterly.
Is IBM's usage going up?
They did increase their use.
Are the post-COVID numbers going up, like for IBM? I mean, given that people are probably more there and like their water use, if people are present in the building versus what.
I don't think their use is really tied to that so much as that it is a research facility and they use our water to produce DI water that they use in their research. So I think a lot of it is tied to the projects that they have going on
I see.
or
Okay.
the levels of staff that are at the building. On the next page, see at the top is hydrant rentals. These are fees that the fire districts pay. They have contracts with them. There's a 1% increase in the rate for hydrant rentals each year. The sale of caps, that's for new connections to our system. And with the Toll Brothers project complete, that number has declined significantly. We only anticipate maybe a few new connections each year. They had 91 new connections throughout that project. So if you look back through the prior years, those numbers were much higher.
Yeah, in 2023, we sold 131,000. Now going down to 6. So
Wow.
And the cross connection program, that's fees that we take anytime there's a new backflow application that has to be reviewed by the water system supervisor and approved by him and then forwarded on to the county. So that's a fee that we charge for that service. Insurance recoveries, you'd see some money there this year. That's typically when there's an auto accident and our fire hydrants is hit. We'd hope for that number to be 0. A few of those hit. Page 173, that's the last revenue page, but this shows the costs that are paid by Pleasantville for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant, and that's broken into 2 parts. There's fixed costs and variable costs. The fixed costs are the cost to keep the building open and for the staff from Veolia to be there. The variable costs are for the water, electric, and chemicals that Pleasantville uses. Those are based on the quantity of water that they take from the system. Page 174 starts expense lines. And for the salaries, you'll see this is a little higher than 2.5%. Again, here we have employees who are working through their steps. For vehicles, there's a significant increase because we plan to buy 2 vehicles next year instead of 1. And that's in keeping with our vehicle replacement schedule.
Are the other ones getting repurposed to auction? They don't even have.
Oftentimes they're repurposed from the water department. Giving pickups to the building maintenance department and also to the parks department. We have to do those. And then we've also sent some vehicles down to town hall as well for building.
Longevity pay is going up, is somebody hitting like a mustache?
So probably what's happening is somebody is starting to get longevity. You don't get that until you're here for 5 years.
And there's thresholds, 5, 10, and 15 years, it steps up,
Yeah.
so.
I think
Somebody's passing one of those.
correct, and that's just contractually,
Yeah.
you know, obligated. We have Katerina and payroll go through and just double check everyone's start date. And I think we had 2 of the water fund this year that really hit.
Okay.
Page 175, you'll see there's an increase in the cost of water excess per capita. And this is water that's used by high volume waters. In our billing structure that we pay for raw water from New York City DEP, we're given an allocation that's based on the number of residents in town. It's typically around 110 to 120 gallons per day that we're allotted per person within town, and there's a basic rate set for that. And water that's used in excess of that rate, the rate goes up substantially, and that's what this rate is for. So for 2026, we're seeing a 6.5% increase in the rate charged for excess per capita water by New York City DEP.
And that's one of the reasons why we have a 3-tiered rate for consumption for residents. So if you use up to 6,000 cubic feet in a quarter, it's one rate, up to 10, it's another, and beyond 10,000 cubic feet. That's a lot of water used in a quarter, 10,000 cubic feet. That would be indicative that somebody has an irrigation system or filling a pool or is doing something. That's not like a family of 4 living in their houses. So because we're charged extra for the water, we pass that cost on to the excess users.
Identify leaks that way? Like, so what a resident has a leak they're not aware of?
We-
Is that one means by which we identify?
So as part of the billing process, when they get the reads back in, there are a couple different reports that they read. So if there's a tolerance, if it's outside like an average that they normally read, it flags it for us. We'll reach out to the resident before they get their bill and say, we believe you have a problem. We can see you haven't seen it yet, but it looks to us like you have a problem. There are times when we get no reading, it's flagged. There's a couple different tests that we do when we get the reading files.
One of the things that we've been doing to try to avoid anybody having a large bill from an unknown leak is reading the meters within the whole town. So residential users are billed quarterly. We used to only read the residents that were gonna be billed during that quarter. So what we do now is we read all of the meters in the whole town every month, even though we're only billing basically a third of them to try to identify any of those leaks earlier in the residents.
Thank you for doing that.
It's important because residents bear the cost of that, so you just.
It is, oftentimes, you don't realize what a leaking toilet does,
Yeah.
you don't realize, a lot of times you don't realize you have a leak in an irrigation system. Until you see the bill,
Those
there's
are
a
the-
problem,
those are the
when you know
problems.
about it, the problem's already exist.
Irrigation and toilets seem to be
Yeah.
one and two.
And the
where we're
line
seeing
going out to the road, which is,
That could be too.
which is out the burden of the homeowner.
But now, residents can put a device on, right, to monitor themselves too. So
Absolutely.
we are not their only source.
Correct, yeah,
To know.
if they wanted to, there's several on the market that
Please might well order
see there's a decline in tap materials, and that's because we're doing fewer taps.
When we have a new project, like say when 15 Wood Greeley comes online, will each of those apartments be a new tap, or how does that work in a multifamily?
So in a situation like that, there's most likely there's gonna be one large line that goes into the building, but as soon as that line goes into the building, it should be in a utility room. And then each apartment will be metered at that point. So our town code requires all units to be metered.
But would those be new taps, each one, or just the one line in?
Just the one line in.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And for a large tap like that, the building, developer would be required to pay for all of that work and do that work. They would have to coordinate with us, our staff will be there, because we have to shut off the water main for that connection. But town code requires water meters for all units in any multiple family situation, and that's to encourage water conservation. Increase in the postage line, postage rates have gone up, but we're sending out a lot more letters than we used to. Last year, we had to submit the water service line inventory to the New York State Department of Health. We're required to submit that annually. We'll be doing that soon, but then we're also required to send a letter to any home that is considered unknown, a lead line or a galvanized service line requiring replacement. So we'll be sending those letters out this year. We're whittling away at the unknowns, and so I think we're like probably around 275 letters that we got this year. Last year we were over 300. So, and we've made efforts to get all of this information numerous times through letters mailed out, or being stopped by houses, left over.
I started to feel that and I saw
Oh,
Jen
you're
go like
feeling
that,
it too?
yeah, so I
Okay.
thought, okay, it's not just me, okay. Sitting in the sun.
It's nice. It's nice these
Yeah.
days.
No, it's getting hot, sorry. Please, go on, I'm listening.
So contractual services line at the bottom of page 175. We use that for an annual leak survey that we do, typically we hire New York Leak Detection and they do a survey of our whole water system to try to identify leaks. We also pay for land use permits that we have with New York City DEP out of that line.
Is that the van that goes around?
Yes. Page 176. See, most of the items are flat. There's a decline in the uniforms. It has the other departments. And on page 178 begins the 8330 line. So that's for the water treatment plant. In this line is in this page, there's salaries, internships, longevity, so flat or just a contractual increase. Then there's office equipment, department equipment, safety equipment, water treatment equipment, laboratory equipment. Those are all flat. And then there's the variable cost numbers for Pleasantville. These are based on the amount of water that they'll use. Continuing on page 179, then there's the variable cost for the town of Newcastle. Page 180 is the contractual services line for the operations of the water treatment plant. It's a contract that we have with Veolia. By that contract, there's a 4% maximum that they would be allowed. I don't expect it to be that high, but we budget for that nonetheless to be conservative. Also, you'll see there's a Pleasantville refund, a surplus. We started the reconciliation process each year that's done. And we either will owe Pleasantville money or they'll owe us based on how the prior year went, but that's done annually now. And at the bottom of the page, there under special projects, there's a funding request to replace some of the ozone destruct equipment at the filter plant. So one of the stages of the water treatment process, this is primary disinfection, is the water is treated with ozone. So that's injected into the water at the bottom of ozone contact tanks. And then the ozone will percolate up through the water, and then it's captured at the top and it goes through what's called the ozone destruct system, which breaks down the ozone and just releases air to the atmosphere. And that equipment is original to the plant. It was put online in 1993, so we have some funds here to replace them. Pretty much covers the water fund unless there's any other questions on it. 216.
Yes, it is.
That's a
It's exciting to get this going. Yeah.
So majority of what you'll see in the sewer districts is debt service, and that's the pay for new sewers that were put in downtown. Those are sewer districts 1 through 5. Sewer district 6 is for the Hudson Hills Sewer District, that's on the west end of town on Pines Ridge Road. That district is unique in that it has a lift station. All of the other sewer districts are just gravity sewers. So since it has that lift station, we have Veolia contract to run that station for us. They're at the water treatment plant, which is far away. It makes sense, and that actually is a cost economy to have them do that since they're already in town. And a new sewer district that was added, I think last year, is Sewer District 9 up at Chapel Crossing. And so throughout all of these sewer districts, our water department actually does inspections twice a week. They go and they check manholes throughout various areas of the town to make sure everything's flowing properly. And from time to time, they have to bring a water jet truck out to clear the lines to keep everything. And so the two small water districts that we oversee are Two Castles Water and High Ridge Water. And Two Castles is a small section in North Castle that we supply water to from time to time. And does it work with the billing? So they actually read the water meters.
They read the water meters, we send out the bills, we pay North Castle for whatever water they charge, and then we collect from those residents. So about 17 homes on Frog Rock, Whippoorwill Crossing, is there another road? Yeah, it's a very small district.
And High Ridge Water District is a district that was created to add Newcastle water infrastructure on High Ridge Road prior to the creation of this district. The installation of the new main, these residents were served by water from Mount Kisco, and the rates they were paying for absorbent. So in order to help them out, created a district. They were in favor of it and installed water structure so that they could get the town of Newcastle.
I think better water pressure up there.
Much better water quality and a better rating. And then we'll pass around. There's a vehicle and equipment replacement schedule. Tom prepared and maintained, so we'll pass these around. If you want to take a look at those.
Thank you for putting that on bigger paper.
Yes.
That would be a nice lesson. Otherwise.
It's fall colors.
It is.
So we do a large fleet of vehicles and equipment. We try to balance the replacement so that we're not hit with any huge costs in any one particular year. This is it's a guide, something that we don't hold hard and fast to. We try to like I said, use it so that we don't get hit with any big costs in any one year. But on the lifespan, you'll see different numbers, like 15 years for a large truck, and sometimes we oftentimes try to exceed those numbers, but this is typically like a kind of a worst case scenario.
The X is when you expect to replace.
Correct. Yeah. So oftentimes things are pushed out a little bit. based on obviously the lifespan. We found, with the heavy duty trucks in highway, the Mack trucks were lasting a lot more than the international trucks that we were buying.
Can I ask, is it at all possible to defer some of them, like 2027? The 4 are coming up and they're none for, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, and they're none for 2028.
On that page.
As an example.
Yeah, there's 4 vehicles. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
So, yeah, we do try to spread it out, and if the vehicles are still,
I get it, I see it.
if the vehicles are still in good shape,
I
we
was
don't.
just on the first page.
We're good in 2045.
I don't know what I was thinking the other pages were, but
So we try to balance it all out, and like
yeah, I
Tom
see it.
just pointed out to me, when we order a big truck, oftentimes it takes 2 years to get. So during COVID and since COVID, a lot of the larger vehicle purchases have a really long lead time, so we really have to try to plan ahead.
Yep. I just wonder what no one would be.
2014 stops existing.
We're not planning for that, because we're all like,
morbid.
you know.
Like Mayan calendars.
I don't imagine I'll be in this position for you.
You make it longevity thing.
You've got this 20 years.
It'll be 75.
Oh, and so these are all the vehicles other than the police, is that?
Correct, everything except.
Wow. That's a lot on your department.
Yeah, and our central garage does a great job, repairing and maintaining.
So how many mechanics do you have on?
Three full-time, and one of them is a supervisor, but he's a working super.
Is that your whole report, is that?
Yeah.
There many, okay.
Yeah, unless there's any other
That's
questions.
quite a lot. I think I asked my questions as we went along. Anyone else have any questions?
Well, and we do still need to get the DPW tour rescheduled. So we can do that this fall once budget's over. Before you get into winter.
We're there, work out a small schedule.
This is like a facilities tour,
Yeah.
like we used to do.
Yeah.
We did that at the regular facility tours.
You know, we talk about all these things, and we guys also have a.
It would be interesting. And the ride on the other. The back.
On the back,
That was discussed the other day.
somebody wants to go
Oh,
for
you
a
were
ride?
here.
That's right, yeah. Or come clean the basics.
I wanna make the bride with you.
Oh, there you go.
Just bring some cucumbers.
Yes. That.
That adds the,
For Halloween, you could dress up.
I'm covered.
Do a picture op, put it in the newspaper. I'm glad you're less sweet, love. Might as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Julia,
everybody.
thank you. Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
As you can see, they have the largest individual budget.
Yeah, it's an amazing amount of work.
There's a lot of work.
You do it so well, you organize it so well, thank you.
That's
Just-
my,
With-
I said this to Brady yesterday, I said this to Bart and all of them, it's really absolutely phenomenal, terrific, always accessible, you get calls all the time, we all get calls all the time on the weekends and late night, and your team is always there and available, and I think many people appreciate it, and probably realize it too, but there's plenty who don't. How you have people out there all the time, I mean, in the worst, most ugly conditions, so. In terms of their accessibility, in terms of what they do, in terms of your leadership and all of you here. Thank you very much.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Thank
It's a team effort and we appreciate your support.
Yes. And you take my calls too, by the way. Yeah.
The phone is always on.
Thank you.
I have a whole committee that's involved.
Okay, good. Well, we're excited for the fourth,
Joni
for the
writes
fourth
about
mural.
Walter all the time.
Walter, the word no is not Walter, okay? Sometimes.
Rob, we'll take
Yeah, we'll take a couple minute break, the chief is on his way up, so.
Excellent.
So, I don't sit that long.
Did you get home? Your son?
Yeah, I got home, three airline different, they had 3 flights.
Oh, right, Leslie.
Yeah, it worked out, yeah. Made him Uber though for the flight, and I'm like, I'm not driving up there to get you. I love you, Uber's an easy thing. You off today or you change up? I can do some few work.
There he is.
Good sir, how are you?
Man,
I'm
delightful.
going to speak to my lawyer.
Got heavy hitters with me today. I think we're good.
Geez. How are you? How are you? Thank you again for everything you did for the, for Chisholm George Lake ambulance, so you don't want to. Yeah. And she took care of the bill immediately, right?
Yeah, she was nice.
Okay. How are you guys? All good?
All good. Last one for you.
That's right, that's right. That's right. I'm gonna be hard. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a win for expense. Do more with less.
That's what we've been doing.
Do more with less.
That's the plan. Have some pretty nice.
Yeah, I feel like doing my life. Well, I will say I'm grateful to Vicky because remember we used to be every Tuesday. Yeah. She every other Tuesday or so. That's but no, I'm just busy, which is good.
Still the same stuff.
Yeah, my Title IX practice blew up, which is kids getting in trouble in school, not necessarily criminal, but getting in trouble in the school proceeding.
Like college?
Yeah. Like dating violence, sexual violence, harassment, things like that. So that picked up and, other areas of practice, so. I don't know if we're being recorded, so I won't share too much more of my any client stuff.
Yeah, we did share some of that stuff.
So, things are going well. All good.
Is there an uptick in that stuff?
Like anything else, there's, with allegations. There's allegations at school. Some are very ugly and real, and some are false.
Yep.
Yes.
How's your son? Are you happy?
Yeah, my kids do well.
Where's he going? Don't do that.
You're watching for my.
Oh.
Tomorrow.
Hello. How are you?
Thank you for last night. I don't think you guys were there,
We weren't
but
done with-
there were a good,
We have 5
a
officers.
good number. It was really,
We had 5.
really good.
Hey, Franny, how are you?
I mean, sad that we had to do that.
Yeah,
Incredible,
but
but
it's-
it,
Makes everybody feel better. I agree.
What's up? And they walked in, I said, well, I need to speak to my lawyer.
Rob?
How are you?
The lawyer that represents himself.
It's his reflex.
It's my job. It's really come good with that.
Tony and I are very hungry. Wanna go to the
Good. I even on my.
Oh, okay. And after that, we're gonna. That's it.
You guys go too. One.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
Everything is okay with that proposal from Logically?
Which one?
The Monday morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be here. I sent the email for Steve to reach out.
Perfect.
well, Jen,
Okay.
I know.
They're gonna do switches, so it'll be server room.
Good, how are you?
That's the order.
My son. Yeah.
Over by
He
John's
went.
office.
Yeah,
Yeah, my niece is there last time, so that's good.
it's a great school. She loved it. Yeah. Is she liking it?
He loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, her family's down in Colchester.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not that far, so I'm like 10 minutes away from her.
Oh, really?
Just take her lunch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was nice having him just an hour drive away. My daughter's in Chicago, which is.
Oh,
I'm not.
Yeah.
I like Chicago.
I love Chicago, and I have relatives there, so it's good. Nice that-
So we serve.
She full time, she started, you know, just to make sure everyone's.
Yeah, so it was first time, but I'll tell you what's going. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Everybody knows Lieutenant Husband, Lieutenant Rocco.
Yes.
We'll start with the proposed budget for the police department. It's the colorful one, as you can see on top.
Yes, you've got your own.
Yes, but what I like to do is that's the line by line breakdown. If you go to the 6th page of that by itself, I breaking everything into contractual items and non-contractual items, and it summarizes the changes that I have, kind of a little quick read. Did we find this?
Sorry.
56th page. Yep. So the contractual items is out of my control, it's negotiated between the town and the PBA. Rob tweaked one of them to get more accurate for the holiday pay, so that budget line is down a little bit, and everything else is bold, black, they're up. And again, based upon 2.95% contract, the uniform allowance and longevity fluctuates with, people getting more senior, but then some retire, get new guys, because that goes up a little bit every year, up or down a little bit, every year. And the difference between contractual items for the year is $158,350. The other ones are the non-contractual items. And some of them, most of them stayed the same. There was a couple of bigger increases, and the office furniture went from $2,000 to $10,328. And that's because we're looking to replace floor, desks, and 2 chairs in the technical division, which I don't ever think of ever replacing. Drawers are broken, it's time to upgrade them.
You're not getting eaves.
No,
Okay.
no. Vehicles, I think we all know that prices of vehicles go up. I do a vehicle replacement plan we can look at afterwards, but we try to do 3 vehicles a year. And it's a combination of patrol vehicles, admin vehicles, or civilian vehicles. And, like I like to say, 1 year in the police department is, 4 years in every other department. Just with 365, 3 tours a day. So, first aid equipment, it's just a slight increase. Department supplies, most of it's for cost increases and for training expenses. We had some stuff for stimulus for our SRO training with the FBI and Mount Pleasant. And conferences and travel. That went up 2,500, but one of that is for looking to send an officer to the Harley-Davidson school to be able to do our vehicle motorcycle maintenance and upkeep. So I think the 2,500 to 3,000 is gonna get paid back.
That doesn't go to DPW.
They do some work, but they're not trained. A lot of them, we have to bring some of it, farm it out. And training instruction went up a little bit, and lease maintenance contracts, that's out of our controls. That's our, record management system, our
Excellent.
yeah, Nixle, our scheduling software, those are all our software programs. And the total difference between the 2 years is 34,819, for a total increase for 25 to 26 for 193,169 dollars. And I think couple pages down is what the vehicle, replacement. And as Holly pointed out last year, the numbers are not gonna stay the same, it's just based on the prices of this year. It's just an overall idea of, you know, what we're looking to change, and it's fluid too, sometimes the car will go or, you know, get damaged or destroyed, and, you know, we have to adjust accordingly.
It's always the old ones that get damaged, right, Chief?
That's it.
Never the brand new
Never
ones.
the brand new one.
Looking ahead, are any of the vehicles like electric or
Um,
environmentally efficient? I mean, since we're looking at like a 10-year.
yeah, we, I mean, we certainly consider it, just make it probably increase the
More
cost.
expensive.
But certainly we could look into, you know, a lot of our vehicles are hybrid, then we couldn't get any more hybrid, so we went back to just gas.
A lot of things can happen in 10 years.
So, yeah, that was the problem coming out of COVID. We actually did try to order those vehicles and they just weren't available. And did we have them on purchase order? I feel like
We
we
did.
were trying to get them and we ended up having to cancel
So
it
we
because
were
it's-
back, it was a year and a
Yes.
half, and we had to just go with something else.
And, right, and we were in desperate need of vehicles at that point.
And, you know, we've also absorbed pretty seamlessly the SRO vehicles of the fleet, so we've actually, you know, they're designated for there, and we've increased the fleet really without much.
And you've been able to rotate them and you see the miles on the SRO
Because they,
vehicles or the.
you know, they get higher miles, right, the older cars, but they don't get the mileage of these.
To your point, Chief, you just mentioned, there's a 2024 Durango, 24, and it has over 130,000 miles, 24.
Yep.
That's an insane
Amazing.
amount of mileage.
Where is that?
So that
The
vehicle
first one.
is 40. Supervisor?
It's on the last page of our,
Yeah, that's gotta be a mistake on my part.
it's a mistake.
It's gotta be a
Oh.
mistake. It's probably 13.
33?
It's probably, yeah, it's probably
Wait,
13,000.
Alright, good.
Ah.
Well, I was like, that was
Yeah,
insane.
it's probably
Well,
13,000.
that one,
Oh, okay,
as
okay.
Carl
Now,
calls
now
it.
I'm not so impressed.
Right.
Carl, not the only one.
Not the only one with
We're gonna try.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only point we was.
I'm glad that we at least catch the
Um,
thing that are me. I'm like, you know, what
I
do I
can send you the
know?
revised one.
Where are the motorcycles?
They're at, Woodstock Harbor. So they're outfitting. I don't have.
They're
any-
not
I
listed
didn't-
on here?
They're not listed on here.
Okay, how many do
But
you?
I have we have two motorcycles. And we,
You have to listen to
through that grant, we got the other two that are being outfitted now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna,
That's the other 2024, of like.
auction one off. And we're gonna keep one as just in case one of the other motorcycles goes down and then we have to spend.
Okay.
So that's the plan.
And do they get, they must have less models.
They don't, they don't put too many miles out of all.
Yeah.
You know, the details,
Special events.
grades, funeral details, stuff like that, so. I didn't put the mic
Community
on
day.
there.
Oh, that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, Community Day comes out, Memorial Day comes out. Any questions on any of that so far?
Sorry, what?
Rob, what page is in the actual budget book?
119, it starts.
Sorry, I'm 19, sorry.
Go back.
Here's the little.
And how far out are we looking at to replace, you know, vests, firearms?
Yeah, so we actually replace vests every 5 years. And part of our budget, we put a 50% grant reimbursement for it. So next year, the 5 guys that are up are. Yeah, next year, we have 7 on the 5-year replacement plan. And then firearms, I just made a proposal after the budget meeting with following Rob, the armed instructors would like to transition to a new weapon, ours is about 8 or 9 years old, but to go from Glock 40 caliber to Glock 90mm and with lights and red dot sights. So a couple reasons: the lights, you use the gun with two hands versus one using a flashlight, so that's more efficient. The red dot sight tends to be more accurate. The FBI's come out with studies saying that the 9mm round is more effective, and most of the jobs that transition to the 9mm round, and God forbid, in an active shooter situation, they could exchange magazines immediately with other officers. So it's more efficient. So the total cost for that with trading in our guns and getting new ones is $35,000.
And the vests, I'm sure you addressed it before, the vests, they lose their abilities, for lack of a better term, after on the failure rates.
It's more, use, right, and material moving around and loosening up, perspiration, stuff like that, they deteriorate over time. So 5 years life expectancy. And we're lucky to get the grant every 50%.
And everyone has a body worn camera?
We don't have body worn cameras.
I think we have body worn.
We talked about it last time, we talked about it last budget year. We've been looking into, we did anticipate this conversation coming up as well. The concern had been the cost and the bigger cost of storage. When I went to the IECP conference last year, I priced it out, and it was gonna be about $2,500 a year per officer, 40 officers. So it's about $100,000 a year with a 5-year buy-in. Recently, we've been working with Motorola on a new CAD system, upgrade our radio from analog to digital. We opened the CAD system, and they can bundle things together. We did create a big project with Capital Games. We talked about it, but there's a technology grant that's coming out from the state to the tune of, I think they're saying $25 million, and we're going to put Motorola to write a grant. That anticipation of that, to help us write the grant, anticipation for the money. And they think, or I think we have a good chance, because we didn't get anything in the previous grant for that in the state. So he thinks we're probably up in line, first in line, or close to first in line, so he thinks we should get some good help there, and with their grant, it should help as well. So, but as part of that, Lieutenant Hirocco got a quote for what body cameras would be at.
So I thought that we had done this before, so I apologize.
Yeah, so I have a quote here from Motorola. It's $175,000. That's for 5 years. So it would be a $47,000 upfront fee, and then $31,000 a year for the next 4 years after that. That includes the camera and the storage for each year. There is a grant that's through the DOJ that I was working on with the assistance of Rob, but it's been shut down with the federal shutdown right now, so I can't work on that right now.
Tell them what the response was.
Oh, it said, when you went on the site, it said the Democrats have shut
Down the government.
down the government.
That's what it said on the site.
I had read that.
Whole bunch of federal
that all
sites.
the sites are down.
And they even went in and changed employees out of office responses to say that too.
What percentage?
You have to think of the time that took.
That's the pettiness.
And this in the funding and.
So if we were approved for that, they would pay up to 50%. So they would cover $2,000 for the camera itself, and the camera itself costs $3,700. So they
Well,
would
the
pay.
government is not gonna stay shut down.
No, so
And I assume storage is just gonna keep getting cheaper.
I don't know about cheaper, but this is they've accounted us for a $28,000 discount because we've been working with them potentially for other things as far as the CAD goes and the radios go as well. But
It's like a bundle, you bundle and you get a better deal.
But I think that, there's over 40 different police departments in Westchester County, and the vast majority of them have cameras
That was my
or,
next question.
yeah,
We really
How
need
many
to do that.
townships have as opposed to cities, I'm sure, will like that.
I would say over 90% have them or going to
I
them
know
right now.
about Pleasantville,
We gotta do it,
Yorktown,
have to.
you know, all have it.
Absolutely. There's no question,
And I mean, she's a-
there's no question we have to do it, the only question now is timing because of the government shutdown.
And
And if we could get funding that's really significant, we should go for it. Does the funding reimburse us or is it out of pocket?
I'm not sure about that.
Because, we could go ahead and do it now,
Well,
in
we have-
anticipation.
I think maybe we'd have to budget for the entire thing with the anticipation of being reimbursed at 50%.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so
That's-
if we actually do the
So-
purchase,
Well, some of these grants, if you do work before you have a grant contract in place, they will not reimburse you for anything prior to that. So we would have to be careful with that too, especially
Yes.
the federal grants tend to be very controlled in that manner.
okay, yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting
So,
at.
yeah, we need to
What
stick
if,
with
what if
that.
we all change our party affiliation?
For the-
Is that a cost for owning the cameras or is it leasing the cameras?
There's a one-time fee to own them up front.
Okay.
Like I said, it's
I
30, you can have this one.
And I apologize, Chief.
I've seen both.
Yep.
So we spoke about it last year,
Sometimes
and
leasing
then,
is,
I got pricing
it's
last
better,
year.
so that when.
Well, you get upgrades.
When you were kind of.
That provided us, at some point,
We gotta figure that out.
Or maybe Joe Rob.
That's my fault.
Yeah, and then, we anticipated it.
I think it's such a,
Yeah,
I
well-
think it's such an important tool for your safety and for the public safety, it serves both purposes. So I think it was important to
Is
have.
it on, are they on, like, when are they on?
They're triggered by certain things, and there's a policy that has to be negotiated, but yeah, if they go to a goal, it's just out of the car, they should be on. If their
They
taser
step
is,
out of the car.
yeah, their to go to a call or interact with somebody, if their taser is pulled, they should go on. If the lights on the vehicle go on, that they should go on. There's things that trigger them.
Okay.
And they have like automatic sensors too, where they go, if somebody else shows up on a call and my camera's on, his camera would automatically turn on, so there's no discrepancy.
So are you finding that's a subject of negotiation?
It's absolutely something to negotiation. It is.
Oh, it is a contract here.
Yeah, 26.
And are there rules about whether an officer can switch on and off?
There are, there are policies that we look at. And, sometimes they have to for, if they talk strategy or some personal information, and so if they're on, some of that can be redacted, it has to be redacted if it's going to the public.
Right.
Privacy issues. And that was one of the concerns that come up in conversations when we did police reform, the stakeholders back then, that our residents would want it. But, I think now that it's changed, I think they're much more common, everybody's aware of them, and I think everybody acts better, right?
That our residents would not want it?
Yeah.
Because if
For sure.
The
they
domestic
show up at
house,
their house.
Well, at least by those who
I
represent
see.
it.
A mental health.
You're not in your best moment.
Right.
you may not be,
Yeah, you may not be.
So that was a concern back then, but, maybe the time's coming.
I think people expect
Now,
it now.
Yeah, I think there's no question
I
that we
think
have
too,
to
right, with
have.
cell phones, right? People pull out cell phones all the time on us now,
Right.
It's just a common thing.
Just back to the purchase of new weaponry, but forgive me if I don't use the proper terminology, but is there training
Yes.
that happens when
Yes.
there's a switchover?
Yeah, and there would be some trainings, our instructor's already been involved with the county transition, and working with them on a strategy for us to change over. It's more, most guys shoot with one eye open, with these, with the red dot sight, you're trained to have both eyes open, which helps you peripheral vision, so you see
You're
more
talking
around.
one hand versus two hands.
Yeah, so one hand versus two hands, so there is, change, but overall shooting fundamentals of the same.
Right, okay. So that would be a cost if
You would, but you have
Well, the thing is,
training days.
we would factor in for next year's because we do 4 training days a year. And I think for this, we're probably gonna do a day and a half of the firearms, or 2 days.
okay.
And one day's devoted to the firearms already. Right, so one day's already slated for it. That's state required. And then we actually shoot, more than that, we shoot another time a day, we rotate guys to the range while they're working. It's really awesome.
So I saw that Westchester County police are now gonna be carrying EpiPens. Is that anything that has been discussed?
Brand new, right?
Yeah, it was like this week.
I haven't heard about that yet, but I can find out.
Yeah, it is very new. One of our residents, a student,
Okay.
really was very instrumental.
Yeah.
He's one who was instrumental in EpiPen speaking school buses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
new.
we have first, I don't think it's not a big lift for us. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we do have, with
Yeah,
Narcan, we
it's,
have EFIBs, we have oxygen, we have first aid kits. We have
Right, this is
What's
part
funny
of
is
first
that
aid.
I have one with me all the time, a shellfish allergy, and a daughter that has a peanut allergy. So yeah, it's
Okay.
just. But we gotta find out because I haven't heard about it.
And again, one of our trainings every year is first aid
Mhm.
and DFib, so that we could add that to
Maybe you can put that
the
in
actual
budget.
curriculum.
Yeah.
And that would be with Narcan, we carry also.
Next, should we go to the civilian budget? Yeah. Should be only one page, but it's not colorful, that's all.
122 of the budget.
So the top three are just, they're contractual as well, they're the full-time salaries of, my assistant Dina, our parking enforcement officer, and our warden slash parking enforcement officer. The overtime, it was 4,000 for one and 1,000 for the other, 5,000 for the year, but most of that's the farmer's market, and I actually raised it just because in the past we had a part-time civilian officer doing the actual work. But our full-timers asked if they do the work, it was not more appropriate to give our full-time officers the opportunity with that. So it went from, I raised it 1,000, but I just broke it up between the two different lines.
How much of that do you think is farmer's market?
I think all of it, pretty much all of it. Right?
Yeah.
Longevity is contractual, and uniform includes, that's replacement items and stuff, or a new hire. And then I have the part-time salaries, and you'll see it raised like about $7,000, but two of the positions are actually vacant, and you haven't been able to fill for a while, so it's really not an accurate, that's 36,000 of that. It hasn't been used. And then, school crossing guards, we have one at this point, and court attendants. We have 6 with 3 officers working every month, I guess, 45 weeks out of the year. And department supplies, that's leashes, dog food, crates, et cetera, for the animal work. And we're actually sending Officer Doley to, there's a yearly animal warding conference where they get the news, teachings and ideas and trainings. So he's going this year, and my budget is for next year. And then contractual services, that's with the SPCA. We have the ability to drop animals off whenever they're open and pay for that for forever. And price hasn't changed. So the total difference is $29,152, but it's really closer to, I guess it was probably that, yeah, it's about $29,000. Because we didn't have those parking guys last year, so it's probably not $29,000 last year.
On the part-time line, how much do you think, I don't know if you break it down that much, but for the traffic folks during the weekday by the train station?
So this is gonna be, Ugarte, and he's gonna be about 23,660. He's the one, he helps. It's always a topic, there has been a topic about getting the traffic out of the train line. And we're most efficient when we have somebody on Woodburn Greeley and then somebody at the top of the triangle. Because when that top of that triangle full, it's
Right,
full,
you
there's nowhere for it to go.
So while I don't get too far ahead of myself, it's not necessarily, it's indirectly a budget issue, but on light over here, would that relieve you of the necessity of having a traffic control officer, or you still need a
I
traffic
might
control
have just
officer?
brought this up to Rob the other day. Saying maybe it's time we look into a light there, I brought it up in the past. We wouldn't have to have somebody on the court at the intersection, right? That would do it. Probably still have somebody posted at the top of that triangle.
Right, because there's,
Yeah, so we have them coming out, so there's stuff coming down South Greeley, making the right going out, they have the right way, so it's not, so we need one, we'll cut from 1 to 2.
Is there a way to adjust those lights so that you don't get really frustrating situations?
So the,
I don't
it's
know
not
how-
the light,
how
it's
Predictable.
you know where they both like really South Greeley and North Greeley flow up to the top, right? So they have a stop sign here, and that traffic coming from South Greeley south can just flow, so they can't go out here and you're not putting another light there. You'd
I
have
don't know
to-
if that's what you're suggesting.
No.
Or just even if you had a light, you're saying that had a light.
Would it be effective, or would it create a lot of frustration?
Well, to the chief's point, you would still need the person at the
Yeah,
top, moving the traffic up there, so you would alleviate one person.
It would certainly, if we were thinking about it, my initial thought would be, we should have a professional engineer come in and do a study, think that they would help it open it up.
So there was a study as part of the form-based code, there was a study of the traffic down there, and they made recommendations, I don't recall what it was for that site, but.
That would've been
that may have been,
pre-COVID too.
yeah, I don't know if it was sort of at the end
Yeah.
of COVID,
Yeah.
the beginning of COVID, or.
I think now things are more unpredictable, even though more people are going back to work, it's not necessarily a predictable 9 to 5.
But I think
5 days a week.
the ability, when you have officers there, you can react to changing conditions, train schedules, so we've talked, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that are the bulk. So if you set a traffic light, you're constantly gonna try to keep up with the train schedules. Right now, it's 5:05, and what's the next, that are the busiest
Slow it down.
trains.
15 minutes out of
Yeah.
that.
Six
That's
to
what I'm
seven.
worried about, I
Yeah.
can't see that, I see that being an extra source of frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, some are on timing, and some are on sensors, but, you know, we were gonna do, maybe we take a look at the form-based code says, something to think about. The problem with that I see right now is that's still county road, right? There's a talk that we're supposed to take it over, and we did the whole Anna project south of the south end of the triangle, but we haven't actually taken it over, so we couldn't do anything at this point. And, yeah, I don't know when we're taking it over. I don't know.
that's in the county's
Part
hands,
of
it's
that
not,
really is
In
Can you
the
tell
county,
me
local county.
which part of it is?
From, yeah, it's from the town line up into, you make a left to go out on Quaker. That's that's what we were supposed to be taking over.
as you probably heard in different conversations, there's been a lot of turnover everywhere, the county, state DOT, et cetera. And the folks that were working on that are not there anymore. So I know Bart keeps checking in routinely, Bob Ciola used to check in routinely, but there's been none of that here. That was part of the downtown project too, is what we were.
So it's basically paperwork. And do they have to come in and do an inspection?
I would imagine it was surveyed, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we've submitted everything for it.
Yeah, I thought so.
And how long ago was that?
Years.
Years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be 5 years.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know at what stage of the project we submitted that, but
We finished, when we opened up, when we thought the project was done, Greenstein was still supervising, I think it was like that. So it was 7 years ago. That's no longer.
what is this CSW?
Community service worker. So, yeah,
What does a community
So
service
he-
worker do?
that's our point, it was a lot.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Regular figures is what I call him, so he's, Chris, you see him running around, like Summers is in train line,
Oh,
you know?
okay.
There's traffic in the morning.
He's traffic on
He's
one.
quick.
Oh, he's good.
I parked to meet Walter right before community day, and he was right at my car. He's quick. He really. I
One
was
step.
like, please.
Everybody got a.
I know people.
Everybody got
Yeah.
Everybody got a real break during COVID, right? Because we really stopped enforcing, nobody was going, there was no problem, and, we've had a problem keeping somebody in that position, and, and then decided to get, start pushing our enforcement again and getting people to get permits, and he's been great. I mean, you're right, 50, 100 a day at the beginning, and he's caused quite a many people to get permits or go to court and bring
And
problems
you-
to
you're
court,
saying-
or
Keeping the judge
complain to you.
So that's what Christina was talking about.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
People coming
Yeah.
He's great, like he'll run his
I get
car, they get the
emails
car and
too.
go out there, so.
I get emails that you guys don't get.
And the LPR is helping.
I was just gonna say, that's, I'm talking the new license
Parking
plate.
LPR that we have, it's helping.
So, that's been much more efficient out there, and he's been efficient. Let's see. Any other questions?
So we've been talking about like a traffic safety type of thing or something. Is
Oh,
there
yes.
budget somewhere for that?
Well, we budgeted with Creighton Manning, and we're going to get a report from them very soon.
Okay, I didn't know if there was another part that fell on.
Maybe Tuesday, but yeah, we will. I was intending on following up after that, but I think that part of the contract with Creighton Manning is a follow-up with signage and other aspects. Rob, do you remember what other aspects of that contract with
Yeah.
Along with the engineering?
It's the
Yeah, the
based
implementation.
on what the report tells us.
Yeah.
They have the implementation covered, so
Yeah.
we should find out exactly what the implementation consists of, but I know it's signage. But we do wanna do some public education around it too.
I think we should
Yeah.
sponsor something at CPAC, open to the public, and we give a presentation.
Okay, well, yeah,
I think that should do that as
that's a
well.
good idea.
So,
And I remember those, was it the Somerstown Road folks were talking about the PACE car program?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm told I love it, but I didn't even.
Oh.
Maybe they meant the Austining police department, because
Yeah.
they were part of that in Austining as well,
So I,
because it's a shared road.
it is sure, yeah.
Yeah.
The road gets bad when you get close to Austin.
They make that clear.
Yeah.
It is, but what they don't realize also, because if this road's bad, it's traffic calming. Because people don't drive as fast, we're gonna pave it and we're gonna get more speed, but we do quite a bit of enforcement out there, we also put our signs out
They
there.
acknowledge that,
They
they
do,
did,
yeah.
yeah.
I can look into the page.
They've always acknowledged that Newcastle does very good enforcement.
Yeah, and traffic.
Yeah,
is-
so we
traffic
should,
is a common complaint in town, you know, and we just got one in Bishop, and people that thought the world was ending, and we just did our survey out there, and first thing we do is call the person complaining. They're much different on the phone with us than they behind the keyboard, right?
Yeah, thank you for
They're
doing
much
that.
more reasonable, and then we put out our, it's a black box that is speed and volume. And we determine if there actually is a real speed issue. So Bischoff, for example, is 25 miles an hour speed limit. The average speed is about 20. And the 85th percentile is, most people travel at is 26 miles an hour. So they don't have such real speed problem. They probably have one off. And that happens everywhere, but it's helpful when we go out and listen to them, and, I think we'll put the radar feedback sign out there, to help them and more present, so. And some roads do have a speeding issue. We know Douglas Road has a speeding issue, right? But I just sent an email the other day, I just wanted to, we actually enforced radar on Douglas Road 60 times so far this year. And that's one traffic.
That's someone that we never.
That's one traffic complaint out of 42 chronic areas we have. So they're getting quite a bit of service, but we're gonna spend somebody out there for the next 2 weeks, and just lasted. And we did make a new traffic officer, he's been writing 100 summons a month, and he's concentrating on those chronic areas. When I get back to full staff, I'd like to get another traffic officer, and it's just taking from different positions. I'm not adding officers, I'm just giving different job sites. So we know traffic is an issue, we certainly do what we can.
And Chief, I just wanna commend you for being so incredibly responsive. Whenever someone writes in and, then this latest one was a real issue and you responded immediately, so I just really wanna recognize that and thank you for doing that.
Without discussing any details, because I wouldn't want to compromise anything, do you believe that we need any more surveillance cameras or video cameras anywhere? Is that something that you want to consider? And I'm not asking about a specific spot that you think is vulnerable. Do you think it's a need that we have, or is it not something?
So,
And I said, just thinking out loud for added safety, security, like lighting is always a security tool too.
Yeah, I think the downtown cameras have been great, things have been better down there, and, you know, for example, we got complained about the traffic officers the other day, I was meeting less than 2 hours. High speed, but you know, we could address something like that. They've done a lot on Amsterdam.
Yeah.
What about Getty?
Well, the cameras here at the train station, which now I believe are 18 cameras, they've been extremely helpful in simple things such as hit and runs, where you return to your vehicle and the whole side is all smashed up. We've been lucky enough that where the vehicle was parked, there's a camera there. So then we look for that type of car, and then we find the plate, and then we follow up, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. So, they work.
I think if anything, maybe an LPR Getty, which would catch vehicles going in and out. See that would be more.
I would have to discuss all the details of
Yeah.
it before, but if there are things, maybe just let us know.
Yes.
And so to Chief's point, I know that years back we were talking about with Ike about adding more cameras because we have those two over at Amsterdam, and to add that over to Getty Park. But that was more challenging because they don't have any internet access there. So we would have to work on self-service. It's doable, and it's also now more affordable than years back.
There's no Wi-Fi again, is that what you're saying?
There's no internet access that is owned by the town. So for a camera system, we would have to go off of a cell phone provider.
They do.
Yeah, and it's doable now.
Do they do internet access at maybe bathrooms?
When we were looking, and this was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, there was no internet access out there.
There was at one time. I don't know why there isn't.
Yeah. So we were shopping around for like MiFi devices, and with the 5G speeds now, it's doable and it's cheap.
My camera guy.
But yeah, the more cameras, it'd be helpful.
We all set? Anything else you wanna?
No.
Well, we're always here.
I sent it through whatever everyone I'm sending it to, thank you very much, it's my last budget, that'll take, at least, maybe I'll do it as a complaining resident as opposed to it.
It might be easier with you being, it might be easier with you being a complaining resident.
But no joking, you guys have been terrific, I've known you since, for a wee sergeant.
He was there for my promotion to lieutenant.
Yeah, I don't mean no disrespect to sergeants, I do not mean it that way. And you guys as well, I mean, thank you so much, you have been incredibly responsive. We have had some, environmental emergencies with storms and rains, and obviously there's been some other serious emergencies too, where people are in need of first responders like yourself. You are incredibly fabulous, and our town is very fortunate and lucky, and people should understand that police are here to serve them. You guys personify that, so thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure working with you, Jeremy, and you will be missed. But you know where my office is. And every time he comes in, he's like, I always ask to see if he's in. And then they go check. And usually he's there, so I don't think he's hiding on me.
Is he really there? You tell me he's not there. He's there. He just doesn't want to see me.
He's never got out of my window like that.
I'm looking at him and you're there, Chief. They said you're not there.
But I hope the board knows my door is open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yep, you mean before one or?
Yeah, no, right across the meeting.
So it's we can't do it in here.
Yeah.
No, it's a Teams meeting.
I'll send her a little request.
See if we can get a Zoom.
I'll send her a Zoom, yeah.
Alright, are we all set? Can we
We
have
are all set.
Lauren sign off?
Yes, I need to move to adjourn. May I have a motion? Okay, so we're all set with the second budget meeting. We will be discussing the entire preliminary budget. When would you say, Bob? At our next meeting or
Yeah.
closer to the budget?
Probably, I don't know if 14th is too soon. I mean, it's a couple days. I don't know if the board wants time to digest it. We can
I think that would be a good idea.
revisit on the 28th or
And when do we generally vote?
so the coming schedule is the public hearing on the budget is December 2nd and the vote on the budget is December 9th.
Okay.
So in November, we will need to set the public hearing. So if there are any changes that we're making to the tentative budget, they have to be in and we would need to set the public hearing, but that could probably be done, I think that can be done on the 12th of November at our meeting.
Okay,
So we could revisit this on the 28th, if any board members had any further questions. I mean, obviously you can
Just to
reach
give
out to
us-
Carl and I in the interim
right.
on your own, and we can have a discussion item on the 28th, just a brief to say there were no changes to the tentative budget, or we made small changes to the tentative budget, and we can
Okay,
do that.
let's plan on that.
Okay.
But I wanna thank you, Rob, and thank you, Carl, and thank all of the department heads, and really the entire staff is part of the budget setting process.
Yes.
So thank you for making this very, it's a lot, but you made it very simple, very clear, very organized. So thank you for doing all that work. I know it takes practically the whole year probably to get to this point.
We start in July, so with the actual budget vote, but obviously we're looking at numbers all throughout the year and assessing things, and what we have decided and what we put in a book in September, we're now talking about 12 to 15 months after that, so it's not always what we expect.
Right.
So the budget is our best guess, so we're constantly reevaluating.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank you both, and while you are relatively newer, Rob, and not a testament to your skills and ability, because you did a great job as well, but Rob, on so many levels, the town is better, and I'm grateful, I'm sure everyone is that you stepped up and took the position you did. It seems like we're in very good hands going forward, but it's an incredible job you've done keeping us, not just on budget, but really keeping us in terms of having the dollars when we need them and understanding what we can cut back on and what we'll need going forward. So I don't envy it. I would have no interest in doing that as a career. I'm incredibly grateful that you enjoy it and you thrive off the numbers. Even if I'm no fan of Florida State, I'm a fan of you.
Well, thank you.
So much to digest there.
Oh, we have a little back and forth about college football. We have probably a little college football.
It's
Thank you,
compliment, it's dick, it's
Yep.
compliment.
Yep, I'll be sandwich, but it has been a pleasure working with you.
Well, on that note, I will ask a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks very much, everyone. Bye, Lauren.
Bye, Lauren.